The first time I spoke from here in the Prime Minister's courtyard was when we legislated Australia's 2030 target, creating certainty for business, certainty for investment, certainty for jobs. Peter Dutton is walking away from climate action. His decision to abandon the 2030 target means him walking away from the Paris Accord. If you walk away from the Paris Accord, you'll be standing with Libya, Yemen and Iran and against all of our major trading partners and all of our important allies. Peter Dutton has never believed in taking action on climate change, and the coalition have been a mess. For 10 years, they had 22 policies and didn't land one. We've had one policy, we landed it. A 2030 target of 43%, net zero by 2050, both of them legislated. We have cooperated and reinvigorated our relationships, particularly with our Pacific neighbours, for whom this is an existential threat to their very existence. We have engaged with business, and when we announced that policy, we had the support not just of the conservation movement, the mainstream parts of it, but also of the Business Council of Australia, of significant industry groups, including ACCI and others, who all said what business needed was certainty to provide that investment so those jobs are created, particularly in our regions. You can't shape the future if you're afraid of it. And Peter Dutton is afraid of the future, and he's incapable of leading Australia towards the future that we need. Peter Dutton is worse than Scott Morrison on climate change. He is all negativity and no plan. And what we've seen now for 2 years under Peter Dutton is a reluctance to announce any policies. We've seen 3 now budget replies without a single costing. And now he and the coalition are exposed for what that means. If you have a budget reply without any media releases, without any costings, without any serious policies, then you can't be taken seriously as the alternative government of Australia. Peter Dutton has moved to the right since the 2022 election resulted in not just a majority Labor government, but seats which historically have held past Liberal leaders, seats like Kooyong, Higgins, Wentworth, Warringah, North Sydney, Curtin, all going to non-Liberal hands. When you look at Sydney Harbour, there's not a seat where the Liberals touch the water. That says a lot about the way that they have abandoned any sensible policy. Australians know that the world is moving towards a clean energy future. The whole global economy is in a transformation. This is an opportunity as well as a challenge. It's an opportunity which my government is determined to seize. Happy to take questions.
Yeah, one of the issues with renewables is the slow pace of rollout for renewables. So are you concerned at all with the 2030 target that those projects are not being approved fast enough and not being built fast enough, and that that's a problem for your government, not for Peter Dutton, that you need to pick up the pace on the rollout?
When we legislated for the 2030 and 2050 targets, what we did was we made sure that there was ongoing accountability. And last December we released the information in a transparent way done by the Climate Change Authority. And that showed we're on track for 42% by 2030. Now the target, 42% by 2030. The target is 43%. And that was before we had the announcements that we had in the recent budget, for example, with the policies to provide support through the tax system for critical minerals as well as for green hydrogen. Now, those policies, of course, we know that production tax credits have also been opposed by the coalition. They've opposed production tax credits. They've opposed the safeguard mechanism, even though that was their policy that they had in theory but never actually implemented. But they set up the framework. It was Greg Hunt's idea for that to occur. they have got nothing positive to offer. I'm very confident, like with other infrastructure projects, they don't go in a straight line, they ramp up. What we're doing is providing that business certainty so that you will see that ramping up.